right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Stand Tall. It's December 5th, and we are in chapter 4 of The Art of War. Moving right along. 13. He wins his battles by making no mistakes. Making no mistakes is what establishes the certainty of victory, for it means conquering an enemy that is already defeated. That's where we left off. 14. Hence, the skillful fighter puts himself into a position which makes defeat impossible and does not miss the moment for defeating the enemy. So you're going to be observant. You're going to do everything that you can to make sure that you are not in a position to be defeated. And then you're going to be observant and strike when the iron is hot, yada yada. Okay. 15. Thus it is that in the war, the victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won, whereas he who is destined to defeat first fights and afterwards looks for victory. So that is, for me, like a lot of rushing in. I think we hear a lot of don't say yes to everything, and that is where that reflection leads me down the path, the thought path of don't say yes to everything, because then you're going to have to rush into everything and you're just setting yourself up for defeat. Whereas if you're strategic about what you pick and choose and what you choose to do based on your strengths and weaknesses, then that's kind of what he's talking about there is you know don't rush in and only pick the battles you know that you're going to win. Master Sun says, therefore the victories of good warriors are not noted for cleverness or bravery. Therefore their victories in battles are not flukes. Their victories are not flukes because they position themselves where they will surely win, prevailing over those who have already lost. Mei Yaochen says, great wisdom is not obvious. Great merit is not advertised. Ho Yongchi says that when trouble is solved before it forms, who calls that clever? When there's victory without battle, who talks about bravery? So we talked about this in the last one. Master Sun says, so it is that good warriors take their stand on ground where they cannot lose, and do not overlook conditions that make an opponent prone to defeat. Li Quan says, the army that finds its ground flourishes. The army that loses its ground perishes. Here, the ground means a place of strategic importance. Dumu says, ground where one cannot lose means invincible strategy that makes it impossible for opponents to defeat you. Not overlooking conditions that make opponents prone to defeat means spying out the enemy's vulnerabilities, not missing any of them. Master Sun says, therefore, a victorious army first wins and then seeks battle. A defeated army first battles and then seeks victory. Cao Cao says, this is the difference between those with strategies and those without forethought. Ho Yongchi says that in a military operation, first determine a winning strategy, and only then send forth the troops. If you do not plan first, hoping to rely on your strength, your victory is uncertain. Jilin says that if you set forth your battle lines and lightly advance without knowing your own condition or that of your opponent, you may be seeking victory, but in the end, you defeat yourself. In the end, you defeat yourself. Wise words from the ancients, yeah? All right. December 5th, from the Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman. The benefits of sobering thoughts. Keep death and exile before your eyes each day, along with everything that seems terrible. By doing so, you'll never have a base thought, nor will you have an excessive desire. Epictetus, Enchiridion 21. Political winds could change in an instant, depriving you of the most basic freedoms you take for granted. Or, no matter who you are or how safely you've lived your life, there's someone out there who would rob and kill you for a couple of dollars. As it's written in the timeless epic of Gilgamesh, man is snapped off like a reed in the canebrake. The comely young man, the pretty young woman, all too soon in their prime, death abducts them. Death is not the only unexpected interruption we might face. Our plans can be dashed to pieces by a million things. Today might be a bit more pleasant if you ignore those possibilities, but at what cost? That's really deep. What do you think that means? It might be easier to ignore that death and exile. Keep them before your eyes each day. That way, you'll never have excessive desire, because then you get lost. You live in the future, you don't live in the moment. Then that's what leads to regrets. Death and exile does not have to mean death and exile. Death and exile can mean regrets and having thought, having memories that you're not fond of because you're not present. Because there are a million things that can go wrong at any given time. And while it is important to try to enjoy the life that we live, we do need to be aware of all of these things, because if we just ignore them, then that just makes us ignorant. And then that surely leads to death. And that is just like in The Art of War says, rushing into battle without being sure of victory. So if we're at least trying to be aware of all of the things and all of the possibilities and the outcomes, then at least we can say we've tried to plan victory before attack.